Welcome to our podcast today, everyone. I am thrilled to introduce you to a remarkable individual, Dr. Darren Weissman. Darren is a chiropractic holistic physician and world-renowned expert on the subconscious mind. He's also a best-selling author and a new member of the Transformational Leadership Council, where I had the pleasure of meeting him when he delivered a presentation this past summer at our conference in Vail, Colorado, and where I was immediately struck by his beautifully radiant, as you can see just looking at his picture there, compassionate and palpable energy, as well as the power of his work. Now, Darren is the developer of the Lifeline Technique, which is an innovative holistic system that is designed to process trauma, transform subconscious limiting beliefs, and evolve emotional intelligence. His work is beautifully captured in the documentaries Heal and Emotion, where he shares insights into the transformative power of infinite love and gratitude. You're going to hear that phrase several times today, infinite love and gratitude, I'm sure. And in addition to the powerful, groundbreaking method he has developed, Darren is known for his impactful books, including The Power of Infinite Love and Gratitude, and he has dedicated his life to fostering inner peace as a pathway to world peace. He teaches online courses, leads international workshops, and coaches individuals to unlock their latent potential through the power of the subconscious mind. Today, I'll be talking with Darren about the Lifeline Technique he's developed and how we can all tap into our subconscious in order to lead lives of greater health, purpose, and passion. Darren, it's an absolute honor to have you with us here today. Welcome.
Jack, thanks so much for having me, my friend.
Well, I'm really excited. You're one of my favorite new people, so I'm glad to be sharing you with the world. It's a Christmas present to everybody here. So let's dive into understanding understanding and harnessing the subconscious mind and how it can open up new pathways to healing and transformation. So for our listeners who are unfamiliar with the Lifeline Technique, could you explain what it is and the core principles behind its development?
Sure, absolutely. And the nature of the Lifeline Technique is it is a technology. It's this flow chart right here. And this flow chart is a roadmap, or it's a blueprint of a step-by-step process that allows us to create a relationship with an aspect of ourselves that's actually invisible. And the nature of the subconscious is like a submarine. It's what's below the surface. And the subconscious mind is significant in the fact that it orchestrates every one of the trillions of cells in our body so that we can breathe and take in oxygen and we can digest our food and all the different intricate things that make us human and enable us to be resilient. But also, the subconscious mind stores memories. And it's the memories of the subconscious mind that haven't been processed or harmonized yet, that when they get triggered, our brains and our bodies take on that memory as if it's real. And that affects our immune system, our digestion, it affects inflammation, it affects our ability to make decisions or to take action. And so the Lifeline Technique enables us to bridge the gap and connect to a specific frequency or energy or vibration that is brought forth by particular moments in our own life that haven't been integrated. Or it could be, I'm going to go out on a limb, a past life, or it could be a generational pattern down our mother or father's side that still lives in our DNA. And through this step-by-step process that anyone can learn, we can get to this exact moment and harmonize it. And the significance of that is, and Wayne Dyer said it, change the way you view things, the things that you view change. All of a sudden, I'm no longer looking through the lens of a 7-year-old. All of a sudden, I'm no longer looking through the lens of 23 generations down my grandfather's side, where they were going through whatever it might have been, the Spanish Inquisition or whatever it might be, that still lives within us. And that might sound far out for people, but the reality is, after doing this with, I've done so many sessions with thousands upon thousands of sessions with people, that when we can create a real change on a subconscious level, we can be present, we can process emotions, we discover that our natural state becomes more grateful and we feel joyful, we get sparkles in our eyes, and we become more optimistic about life versus, what often happens is when we get driven by our mind versus driving it, when we get driven by it, life is looked at like a horse with blinders. And then we judge it as if this is the reality. And the reality is that there's so much more to life than we could ever really imagine. And it's positive, and it's optimistic.
You used the word harmonize the memory. What does that mean, harmonize?
Well, in the Lifeline technique, we use a particular harmonizing tool. And that tool is a hand posture. It's a mudra, and it looks like this. And this hand posture in American Sign Language means I love you. I love you, Jack. Right? And it's a powerful, that itself is powerful. My cousin in 1998, a couple of years ago, and after the end of a full day of working with people as a chiropractor and acupuncturist, my cousin, who's the first deaf chiropractor to graduate from the Palmer College of Chiropractic, before he went to chiropractic school, we finish up a day and he goes like this to me. And I felt something. I'm like, whoa, Rob, what is that? He's like, I love you. And I freaked out. I was like, wow, there's something going on here. I don't know what it is, but I feel it. And I would imagine a lot of your listeners are empathic and sensitive. And I felt something. I didn't know what it was. But one of my passions is kinesiology, muscle reflex testing. And I found a reflex on Rob that was weak. And I don't remember exactly which one it was, but let's just say it was the liver. His liver was weak. And I went, I love you. And the weak reflex instantly got strong. And my mind literally blew up. And I'm like, wait a second. A reflex, which is controlled by the nervous system, instantly got strong when I went, I love you. And what's the significance of that? Well, the nervous system controls everything. And I simply got into a vibration of I love you. And the nervous system changed. What happened in that moment was a harmonization. What happened in a moment is we harmonize the vibration. Everything's a vibration. Everything's an energy. Everything's a frequency. Nikola Tesla teaches us that everything is this vibration. This is a universal vibration. It's a universal vibration. This hand radiates, but just like this radiates a vibration, this radiates a vibration. And then what I discovered through Masaru Emoto's work, who was a great friend before he passed away, and discovering that water is impacted by consciousness, it's impacted by words and different energy, that love and gratitude is the highest vibration.
Right.
And so as I went, I love you to Rob, and here I am as a chiropractor early on, and I've always been a passionate guy. And so I've constantly studied and evolved and studied and evolved. So the next day after I did this with Rob, I'm going, I love you to every one of my clients. And they're like looking at me cross-eyed. I was like, what's going on with you, Darren? You're freaking out a bit. And I'm like, and then I realized it's not about my love, even though my love's really good. It's not about my love. It's about infinite love. It's about infinite love and gratitude. It's a universal healing frequency. And so when a person's having a negative thought, when a person is overwhelmed with their feelings, when a person is in a behavior that they're feeling shameful about or regretful about what they did or didn't do, you take your hand like this and you put it over your heart and you just slow down for a second. You breathe and you simply go, infinite love and gratitude. Infinite love and gratitude. And you'll start to notice that the sharp edges soften. You start to notice that the negative thoughts become positive. You start to notice that the fear opens up into courage, where we can expand versus contract. It's the nature of tapping into something that I found through chiropractic or acupuncture, or kinesiology, or homeopathy, and all these different things that I studied, that I wasn't able to create a shift like I was able to create once I discovered this harmonizing tool of infinite love and gratitude.
That's intriguing. You talk about kinesiology, muscle testing. I use that in my work too. And I often have, but you're making me realize something a little different and new here. I will have someone up on stage and I'll muscle test their strength. And then I'll have the audience think of a minor judgmental thought. Like, I don't like your shirt, nothing too heavy. And think that, and their arm up goes immediately weak. Then I say, send him a loving thought. I love you. I love your shirt, whatever it might be. Their arm goes instantly strong. So literally those thoughts, they have that energy that it generates, if you will. Maybe you have a different way of phrasing it, but literally it's transformative. And then I'll have them think a negative thought towards somebody they don't like. Arm goes weak. Think a loving, positive thought. Arm goes strong. So literally, we have that choice in every moment to change our thinking. However, I think what I want people to get about what you do is so many of our thoughts are triggered thoughts that come from these traumatic events that we have as childhood, the limiting beliefs that go with them. So talk a little bit about the Lifeline process and technique you developed and how that works to go in there and change everything.
It's a great summation, and it's really a cool exercise that you do with people to show them the power of their mind.
Mm-hmm.
Because the mind is infinitely powerful, and the nature of it is most of the mind is not visible to us.
Right.
And 90 to 98%, if not more, is subconscious and invisible versus conscious. And the only part of our mind that is capable of making a choice in any given situation is our conscious mind. And that is just a sliver, it's a fraction. So the Lifeline technique is a compilation. It's like my best hits. It's in studying in China and Sri Lanka and Europe, throughout the States, all these different systems. I kept on asking, as a chiropractor, I didn't like the concept that chiropractors rack them and crack them. And I just got to keep on coming back and just come back 3 times a week, 5 times a week, and do it for the rest of your life. And sure, adjustments feel good, but why do I have to keep on adjusting the atlas, the sacrum, the coccyx, the first rib? Why do I have to keep on, as an acupuncturist, I love acupuncture. Why do I have to keep on doing this particular pattern of acupuncture? Why, as a homeopathic remedy, does this not hold its vibration? Why is somebody dependent upon medication or deficient in a particular nutrition? I kept on going, why? And as a result of studying and going deeper, I discovered that all the parts of the things that I studied came together in an absolute step-by-step process that is this roadmap that no matter what a person brings into this roadmap, it becomes alchemy and it transforms it. It evolves it. So somebody might come in with pain in their shoulder or a catastrophic disease or an experience of immense trauma and loss. I'm thinking about a friend that went through the Rwanda genocide and survived. And there was so much trauma within that. Like this is an extreme example. Yet as a result of going through the Lifeline process, this person was capable of looking at that and feeling forgiveness and even gratitude for life and acceptance and let go, that what once was so charging wasn't there. Or a person who grew up in a family where the dad was an alcoholic and the mom was absent, in their own situation. And that created a unique type of attachment in relationship that perpetuated unfulfilled relationships and the inability to be intimate. And as a result of processing those memories through this step-by-step process, it shifts. Or I'm thinking about somebody right now, I love her so much, a good friend of mine who a year ago was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, metastasized to the liver and the lymph and the bone, and literally told her family, here's my will, this is what's going on. And we went at it. And we were part of a dream team. I never tell people, just work on a subconscious level. Got an oncologist, got a nutritionist, got everybody on board, but we worked on a subconscious level. And I just was with this person this past weekend at our holiday party. And she's a cancer thriver, not a survivor. She's a cancer thriver. And so people can move through allergies that are anaphylactic. People can move through things that don't make sense. And all of a sudden we start to understand, wait a second, now I'm starting to see the pattern. You don't even have to understand the pattern for it to make a difference on a biological or behavioral level. You just literally got to bridge the gap. But how do you bridge the gap to something that's invisible? How do you dance with an invisible partner? So this is a step-by-step process that enables us to, first step, get really present. Get really present. It's called the connection. It's kind of like tuning an instrument. It enables us to tune our instrument. It's a form of acupuncture without needles. And once a person's present, we could stop there and somebody would be like, wow, I feel really good. Or we could continue on. And when we continue on, I bring people through a process that's a 4-step process of setting an intention. So versus like, you know what, I am going to be grateful. That's great. Choose to be positive. It's always good. Yet when making a relationship with the subconscious mind, which is also known as the reactive mind, what you're actually doing is creating a relationship with the porcupine. And the porcupine's a beautiful animal, and it doesn't mean to hurt you, but it has evolved over millions of years to form these quills that are protective. It doesn't want to shoot them at you. And if you know how to handle a porcupine, then you're in good shape. But if you don't, I wouldn't recommend picking up a porcupine. The subconscious mind is protective in nature. It's protective in nature. It's based upon primitive survival mechanisms that activate parts of our brain that can turn us into not so good version of ourselves, can activate aspects of our health where our immune system plummets in a nanosecond. Working on a subconscious level, there's a process of gaining rapport with the porcupine, pacing it so that you can lead it. And from there, once we've got a North Star, an I am intention built upon imagination that has taken us to a new world beyond this subconscious framework, we go into what I call the portal. And Jack, the portal is so cool because most people live in a problem-based world, and there's so many smarty pants in the world where we can figure out so much. We can figure out so much. Yet some things are not about figuring out. Some things are not about fighting. Some things are a feedback. And so I, in the Lifeline process, guide people to understand that the problems that you might be facing are actually portals and doorways to the next greatest version of yourself. So these are integrations of so many different systems, from chiropractic philosophy to acupuncture, 5-element theory, neurolinguistic programming, EMDR, neuroemotional technique, aspects of homeopathy and psychoneuroimmunology, a lot of different things that seem like they're so complex. It's really simple. It's just a step-by-step process that, like the ABCs, that we learn how to dance with this aspect of ourselves that's really amazing. It's amazing.
Well, you did one of those sessions with me, and it was amazing. And I watched you present at the Transformational Leadership Council. And what I love about the work you've done is that all of these systems that have developed independently in different parts of the world, but understood at some energetic level what was really going on, they all had pieces of it. And when you put them all together, it's quite magnificent. If you're willing, could you talk about what a typical session would look like, or what some of these steps would be, so people can get a feel for that?
Yeah, it's a great question, because it's hard to imagine it, really. It's like the movie The Matrix. It's like no one can be told what the Matrix is. You've got to experience it for yourself. No one can really be told what the Lifeline is. It's an experience. Like you've had an experience with it in a group and also as a one-on-one. Yet someone would make an appointment like they would with anyone who does EFT or EMDR or whatever it might be, Reiki, and you come. And I only work with people online these days, unless I'm teaching in some place around the world. I only work remotely. And so it's a remote session. And I have people fill out some paperwork so that we're aware of what the portals are. And they come on in, and I explain to them, first and foremost, how grateful I am to be in this present moment. And I say, as much as it's been so complicated with what you've been going through, physically or emotionally or behaviorally, with family or with your money or whatever it might be, this process is going to be really simple. And I hold up my hand and I say, this means I love you. And you're going to hear me say, and like you said at the beginning of this podcast, we're probably going to hear this a lot, and we already have, you're going to hear me say the words infinite love and gratitude. And when I say infinite love and gratitude, you say infinite love and gratitude, because what I'm doing in guiding a person through a lifeline process is I'm guiding them how to do the healing on themselves. I don't heal anyone. The power that creates us is the power that heals us. And so when I go infinite love and gratitude, it's a sign that the muscle testing that I use throughout the process, the muscle has given way. It guides me, so I never have to guess. It guides me in an exact way. And so they're aware of it. And from there, they can just sit back, and then I guide them through a process. I guide them through getting connected to the present. I guide them through setting intention. I guide them into these different ways of triggering the subconscious mind purposely until it can't be triggered anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we can trigger the subconscious mind and it's reactive and then it no longer reacts, what we've done is we've extinct a reactive pattern. And once you extinct a reactive pattern, then now whatever Pavlovian condition response is like, wait, I heard a bell and now I'm salivating. What the heck does that have to do with eating? Nothing, but it's a conditioned response. We are riddled with conditioned responses as human beings on levels that we have no concept of. We just think it's who we are, but we're able to find these things. So whatever biological, behavioral program that's going on within us, I guide them through a process of using declarative statements, like within neurolinguistic programming, where we will use particular statements in the present, in the past, in the future, so that we can live in the now. And then I guide people through what's called the conscious body portal, where it's in a quantum physics way, we activate the observer effect, where as a result of observing the body with intention, we can entrain and raise the vibration of the cellular memory that's being held on based upon how we're thinking about a particular part of the body. Muscle testing shows us infinite love and gratitude harmonizes it. My favorite one, Jack, is something that's called a core limiting belief portal, where we work with the senses. And we work with the senses through understanding the interrelationship with the power center of our chakras, through our acupuncture meridians, and our emotions. And so with muscle testing, we find a core limiting belief, first, second, third, fourth, fifth. There's a throat chakra core limiting belief. And so if there's a throat chakra core limiting belief, I don't know where my blue glass is. Oh, there it is. If there's a core limiting belief in the throat chakra, we would use blue glasses. And the blue glasses activate the eyes so that the eyes are triggered. The rods and cones, the protein receptors in the eyes get triggered and send signals into the reactive parts of the brain. We know it because the muscle gives way and we harmonize it. This part, I'm sure a lot of people that are listening have heard of Dr. Bruce Lipton.
Yes.
Right. And so Dr. Bruce Lipton, he's a good friend. He wrote the foreword of my third book. And
he's the author of The Biology of Belief, right?
The Biology of Belief. So right. From The Biology of Belief, was I was listening to a tape cassette of Bruce before he wrote The Biology of Belief. And one of my friends from California sent me a tape cassette. I'm listening to it in my parking lot before I go into my clinic. And I'm like, oh my God, the nucleus is not the brain of the cell. DNA is not the brain of the cell. The protein receptors are. I'm like, what does that mean? It means the senses. So wait a second. I know how to activate the senses. So I can activate the senses, which then can ultimately get me right on into that signal that has been causing our DNA to maladapt in a reactive way. I can get to that and harmonize that. I remember in that moment, I immediately woke up to the core limiting belief portal. And that was before I woke up to the Lifeline Technique. I woke up to all these parts before. And then at one point I saw them all come together. But this is actually the Biology of Belief application. How do you activate your how do you activate the limiting beliefs that are affecting your biology so that you can discover your infinite potential? I read the book. Do I know how to do it? Be positive. You know what? The subconscious mind, when it gets triggered, we get triggered.
Right.
There's so much humility in being human. There's so much humility. And so that third portal, the core limiting belief, enables us to activate the epigenetics of our consciousness so that we can create transformation on a deep level. So there's a lot that goes to it. And there's a process as far as people get certified in the Lifeline. People have in 24 countries around the world. People can go through that. They can learn these particular steps to use with themselves or to use with their clients to create a deeper transformational shift.
Couple of things. I remember working with a chiropractor in Texas. I had a friend, I went down to Dallas, and he said, while you're here, you should meet with this chiropractor. I went, okay. And, I'm the guy, someone says, I read poems. Oh, read my poem, whatever. I always wanted to learn. And so he did some work with me. And the work was around the fact that I was upset that he said, what's the presenting issue kind of, And I said, well, I'm upset that I know that we could make $8 million a year. That's my goal. And just picked it out of the blue, but I want it. And I don't think my staff can hold that consciousness. So, and he said, well, let's do some muscle testing here. And he said, test, I can make $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million. I got up to about $5 million and my arm went weak, which meant, no, it's you, Jack. So, okay. And then, but I remember he had me wear different colored glasses and we're saying affirmations and we're doing all this stuff. And by the end of it, I was muscle testing, 8 million, no problem, 10 million, 100 million, $1 billion. I get all the money in the world. No one gets everything else. Still good with it. It's like the whole thing just totally shifted. I want to ask you a question though, because and I think there's a lesson here beyond only the Lifeline technique, which we'll talk more about, but you were living in a question. You were constantly having a question about I don't know what the question was, but like, what can I do to really be more effective, to help people? Is there a unifying system here that I can do? And you kept getting, as I remember talking to you at lunch, like downloads would happen, talk about living in the question of the fact, most people, I don't think they do. They live in a conclusion. They don't live in the question.
Yeah. Curiosity might have killed the cat, but it sets us human free. It's like my papa, my mom's dad, he was really a role model for me. He came over from Eastern Europe just before World War II and the Holocaust. He came to the United States, and his first cousin Abraham went to Palestine before it was official state of Israel. And he didn't know how to speak English, and he had like under $18 in his pocket, and he started on his way, ended up graduating magna cum laude as a pharmacist from University of Illinois. And when he died, he knew how to speak 8 different languages. He taught me how to play chess. I was playing chess before I came on here. It's like he taught me to question and continue to learn. He instilled this passion within me. And we know when things are in harmony and integrity and a coherence, and we know when things are not. And as the different steps of my life, I was originally going to be a medical doctor. And I planned on doing that because I had a tough childhood when it came to my health, and I wanted to have it be different for kids when I grew up. But I didn't know about holistic care. I didn't know about chiropractic. And one thing led to the next, and I discovered chiropractic, and then that door opened up another door into acupuncture, into a homeopathy, into kinesiology. And then I just, like, anyone who inspired me, I would go and study with them. So I went and studied in Sri Lanka for months at a time. And, year after year, I studied in Beijing. I started to just do this. I was always asking questions because there was something inside of me that said, there's got to be something more. It can't just be this. It just can't, there's no way. There's got to be something more. And so there's just been a curious part of me that was open to the universe, to God, to source, to whatever it might be, that one day there will be peace on this planet. One day there's got to be peace, and there's got to be. It only makes sense that there's got to be. We're all one. And so there was just a driving force within me, and I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful for my papa, and that instilled that passion for learning and questioning that ultimately opened it up to being where it is today, which is, I really feel lucky. I really feel blessed.
Well, what I love about your work and I mean, you mentioned that your commitment is world peace through, inner peace and the individual. And literally the external world, I always see the external world as like the screen on a computer, which is telling us what's going on in the hard drive, because you can't see
Yeah.
the hard drive, but you can see what's on the screen. But it's the programming in the hard drive, it lets us see it. So we live in a world that's chaotic, that's divided. It's a lot of things right now, a lot of tension and both, whether it's liberal, conservative, rich, poor, black, white, whatever. And because those conflicts are going on inside of us, because we haven't harmonized, to use your word, and got into the place where we're loving, accepting all of ourselves and expressing the highest part of ourselves that's coming through us, which is the infinite love and gratitude and all the higher energies of that joy and so forth. And I think so much so of the world's problem right now is people don't get this yet. They're still trying to solve it out here rather than in here. But little by little, you and other people are coming up with these solutions that allow people to create this inner peace, this resolution of these triggering things. I was watching a professional football game on Sunday, and an ad came up. It's I don't know if you've seen it. It says Jesus loves all of us, and then it says at the end of Jesus, the last two letters are us. And they show these people screaming at each other and fighting and all this stuff, and you go, "Oh my God!" And you see how reactive someone can be. You flip them off and they kill you. You accidentally bump someone in a bar, and they're willing to take you out because there's all this unresolved anger and so forth.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, when you're working with people, when you talk about these limiting beliefs, you talk about core limiting beliefs. Do you find there's a certain set of them, like I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, or whatever, that are common, universal, that a lot of people have, or is it always individual?
It is definitely individual, yet I have found consistently the I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, low self-esteem is
Mm-hmm.
a massive thought virus in our world, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that we struggle with an outside in value system versus an inside out value system, and that is definitely a deep program portal that impacts us. And the wild part, I really appreciate you expressing it. Like, at what point? At what point is something not a portal? At what point is something not a gift in strange wrapping paper? At what point is pain not a portal? Like, if it's the littlest pain, from a negative thought to, wow, I've got a broken bone or whatever it be, it's a portal is a portal, and it's everything is a feedback. Everything's vibration, everything's energy, everything's frequency, and everything's a feedback because we live in an evolutionary world. We live in a world that, for us to stay here, anything that stays on this planet evolves. It evolves. It's the examples of it are amazing. And yet, as we're going through this process, at what point is something no longer a portal? And what I've come to appreciate is that when the pain stops being a portal is when we finally say thank you to it. When we finally say, thank you for the pain in my heart for this divorce. Thank you for the loss of this relationship, money, whatever it might be. And that's easier said than done. And that's why the part of ourself that is in that place where we become victimized and avoidant and turn into a prover and a pleaser, I got to work harder. That those are real reactive survival mechanisms. But to go into the thriving nature of a human being, the attitude of gratitude emerges as a result of processing subconscious memories and emotions and limiting beliefs. And when we can finally go, wow, thank God for this. Thank God for this. And there are certain things in saying thank God for is like, how could you possibly say thank God for that?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, it's interesting. I'm one of the things I do is I work with the guy, uh, Steve Harrison, who runs a thing called Author Success Retreats, and we do these retreats online, Zoom, and we'll have 15 people, and they submit their manuscripts and books, and I read them, pretty much all of them, not totally, but a lot of it what's in the book. And just did one last week. There was a guy, I think from New Jersey, who wrote a book about his son Christopher dying at the age of 21.
Mm,
And at first it was like a big grief situation. And he thought, oh my
mm.
God, what did I do? Why is, God's unfair, blah, 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 blah. And what he started doing was he started communicating with him. He would journal write and he would just assume he's available and he would talk to him and he would sometimes get answers. And what he began to realize, he went from being a very normal kind of middle class, hard driving insurance guy to someone who started reading books like, the biology of belief and the power of now and stuff like that, became very spiritually aware over the course of about, 15 years. And he said, if my son had never died, I never would have been awakened to who I really am. And
Wow.
so it was a gift. It was a gift. And I think, I always like that phrase, the universe is happening for you, not to you. And that you're saying that the things that show up. But I want you to explain portal for a minute. When you use the word portal, what do you mean by that?
Well, I want to turn that back on you and say, if you were to describe a portal, if you were just to describe what a portal is, what would you say a portal is?
It's an opening to something else. It's something you would go through to get to the other side.
And let's just pause there. And that's what it is. A portal is a doorway to the next greatest version of yourself. And it portals start with perceived problems. So if I've got something that's painful in my body or something that's painful in my relationships, I've got something that's painful, that's a behavior that I wish I didn't do, but I obsess and compulse. I've got an addiction that is destroying the things that are most important to me. The portal is the pain. And that pain is your doorway, like that beautiful man from New Jersey. I got the chills when you just told me that story. That's such a truth. It's such a truth, and it's so humbling. It's so humbling. Like I would have never known. Who would have ever known? Who could have ever imagined? Oh, I've been living in this world. Who could have ever imagined? The portal is the doorway to the next greatest version. We live in an evolutionary world. So, it opens us up. And either the pain closes us down and then we've got to just leave this body and we'll just do it again. At least that's my belief. We'll just do it again. We'll just come back and we'll go through this process again and again and again, because this is an evolutionary journey to awakening our spirit, this planet Earth school. And so as we're in the portal, if we can be open, and we can, that life is intelligent, that there's an intelligence that is somehow attempting to awaken on a soul level ourselves to discovering who we really are, the ultimate existential crisis question of who am I and why am I here? We discover purpose, we discover meaning, we discover reason for the reason why we're here. And sometimes that's just so hard. And the gift is like, it's holiday season and we get gifts from people and they're nicely wrapped. And wouldn't it be nice to get a gift and say, I'm going to kiss you on the forehead, Jack, and I'm going to give you the gift of enlightenment right now. Boom. And then but it's not a kiss on the forehead. It's like it's a kapowie. What wakes us up in life is pain wakes us up. Suffering, it doesn't have to be suffering, but pain wakes us up. We live in a world right now where we're so numbed and we're so distracted by things that are instantaneous. Amazon Prime, Vegas, the lights are flashing everywhere, that we don't listen very well inside. And that's part of the I'm not enough, low self-esteem thought virus program. Yet in this, you know what I mean? In this experience of it, we end up discovering like, there is a doorway, if I choose to open it up, that the Lifeline technology enables us to begin the process with immense compassion, immense curiosity that allows us to discover. And anything that's put into the system transforms. Anything, if you whatever pain you want to put in there, it transforms. It evolves. It's that you want to put a professional struggle in, you want to put in a family struggle, you want to put in a personal health struggle and behavior. It transforms. It just does. People can sometimes have an instantaneous transformation. Everyone does on one level or another. But sometimes it's like, whoa, I had this rash there for 10 years and now it's gone, or whatever it might be. People can do that. And sometimes it truly is an evolutionary journey where the the soul has to wake up, and it can't wake up right away. It would just be too much. We've got to go through a detoxification process of the
Right.
mind.
Two of my favorite quotes. One's from Lisa Nichols, who says, "Some packages come wrapped in sandpaper." So you have to go through that part of it. And I'm forgetting what dinner was. I was thinking of it a minute ago. Pain is required, suffering is optional.
Right.
So, we don't have to suffer, but the pain it gets our attention. You step on a piece of glass, the pain says, wait, pay attention down here, something's not working. But it starts with, I think it has to start with the assumption that we can be pain-free, that we don't have to be walking around with all these triggers, all this pain, all this anger, all this depression and anxiety and so forth. So that the idea is that you believe that happiness and peace and joy and gratitude and, all of that is possible. And once you get that, then everything that's not that gives you a sense of, okay, let's look at that and see, it's the old saying from Napoleon Hill, every negative event contains within it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. The part that most people don't remember is his next line was, but you have to look for it and then water it. And so there's this work to do. And I want to just say one other thing too, because I want to give validation to something you said, that sometimes when you do this work, you can end up going into a past life. And I know for a lot of people that may sound a little weird, but I've had 5 or 6 experiences of that myself.
Yeah.
Once I was being Rolfed, which is this deep body tissue work that people do. And it was working on my left arm. And my right arm, no pain. Left arm, I was excruciating. And so much so I had to stop for a minute. And then all of a sudden I had this memory that I was a Viking and we were doing the raping and pillaging thing after taking over some village. And I was about to rape this woman in a barn. And her son came running at me with a knife and stabbed me in my left arm. And I picked him up and I threw him like a cat. I mean, he was that small and I was so big. And it hit a beam in the barn and he died. And I felt this amazing amount of remorse, so much so that I started crying. My arms went up like this, just, voluntarily. And all of a sudden I saw a picture of Christ and he's just saying, you're forgiven. And I was like, whoa, you got to be kidding me. I cried for probably 10 minutes. And I went home and I slept for 14 hours. But that stuff lives within us for sure. And I just want everyone to know that we're carrying not just things from our ancestors, which we also do, the lineage, the DNA, but also our own past lives, if you will. And that also can be resolved and released and harmonized and turned into infinite love and gratitude.
Yeah. It's the aspect of that. It's a good friend of mine, Greg Braden, who takes people.
I know Greg. Yeah.
Greatest guy ever. Like such a love Greg, love and gratitude. But he takes people into Tibet and he goes into these monasteries and where you go, he has to see their libraries, and their libraries have these books that are thousands and thousands of years old. Like think about your library, and your library is amazing. They've got these books, they transcribed, like carved into these clay. It's amazing. And from thousands of years ago, and people from all around the world in different cultures have an awareness. Tibetan Book of Living and Dying, the Egyptian Book of Dying. There's all these different cultures that are aware of life and death and life and death. And there's this journey that goes on. And, we live in a world that some people are very aware of this and other people aren't. And blessings to anyone in their own belief. That's okay. Yet I have had so many experiences where things don't make sense of why this dis-ease, dysfunction, self-destruction is going on in a person's life. And we run a past life program like Brian Weiss teaches in Many Lives, Many Masters. It's like we run this past life program, and it's not hypnosis. It's a Lifeline technique. And what once was just this chronic maladaptive stress suffering journey, all of a sudden it's like it's lifted, like what you had being a Viking. What a profound awareness you had of that. That's amazing.
I was reading a book by Dick Sutphin, who also does past life regression work many, many, many years ago. And he talked about a woman who was going to the University of Arizona, and her husband was doing an underground newspaper. This was back like in the 70s, when everyone was being countercultural and everything. And she was panicked, just panicked by him doing this. And under a process that he did, kind of a hypnotic age regression, She tapped into a past life where her husband in England during the time of King Arthur type energy had written a broadside against the king, and his soldiers came in and killed him right in front of her, and that was still in her system. And then when he started doing this, countercultural publications, it just re-triggered all of that. And fortunately, because it was brought into awareness, she was able to release it and not have that be triggering anymore. It's funny about triggers. I won't mention who, because then she'll say, "Oh, you talked about me in your podcast." But I have a friend who literally, if you say anything to her, like, remember to do this, remember to get gas, when you put that away, do it this way. And she goes, "What do you think? I'm stupid?" You know, and any kind of instruction, she gets triggered like, well, I should already know that, because her mother was always saying, "You're stupid." And so basically, that's still there to be processed. I'm going to send her over to you. But
I love that word for everyone who's listening to really have an understanding of what is your trigger? Who is your trigger? Where do you go and you're triggered? What does it take? Tick, 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 boom. And now you're the reactive version of yourself. That's the portal. That, like, to talk about what a portal is, the trigger is your portal. And what would it mean to make friends with your trigger? What would it mean to create harmony with your trigger, where you become a curious seeker of your triggers? That's what learning the Lifeline is. That's what experiencing Lifeline is. You start to change how you see yourself in the world around you, and that life isn't, like you said, happening to you. It's happening for you. And the triggers are actually meaningful, of a part of you that's saying, knock, knock, knock. At one point in your life, in the generations that came before you, or in a past life, you did not have tools. You did not have strategies. You did not have understanding. You did not have support to be able to choose love and stay present and move forward. And either did the world around you. And in that moment, that subconscious froze it in time and space. And when that comes, and when that gets triggered, then that creates a specific biology and behavior based upon the specific chakra element in Chinese medicine, the meridian, and the emotions that are specifically tied with these elements in meridians, and how that shows up in the liver, in blood sugar, in the lungs, in oxygen absorption, in any aspect of our system. The trigger is really so important for human beings to begin to understand, like, wait a second, I'm being triggered. This is not about someone else. That's already inside of me. I wouldn't react if the trigger wasn't there. It's like, what if I could respond versus react? And that's a process for people, for all of us. It's a practice, actually. It's a practice that we continue to do. I practice it every day. I'm a dad of 3 teenagers. I mean, it's just right. Come on. So it's part of real life, and being in any kind of relationship with another human, we're triggered. Being human is a tough gig, and being in relationships and communicating with others is a tough gig. And knowing that love's the answer is great, but it takes more than knowing that love's the answer. You've got to know how to love. How does one become filled with humility? How does one know how to be compassionate, how to repair, how to be in a place of forgiveness? The how is the love in action. And that's what we're growing into, and learning Lifeline, or having a lifeline for oneself.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I had a question forming in my mind, and I just lost it. It was a good one too.
We'll sit with it.
Oh, I know what it is.
Good.
So here you are. You talk about muscle testing. You showed us glasses. You talk about working with people virtually on Zoom calls. How do you muscle test someone over the internet?
I say, hey, hold up your arm. I'm going to reach the computer. No. So the cool thing about it is just like it's so fun. And this took a while for me. I've been a practicing chiropractor for 30 years, but I've been doing Lifeline for 22 years. And I first learned in muscle testing with another person or doing a proxy where I would touch, I'd have somebody else touch them, and then I could muscle test them to test the person. And then I realized I was doing a talk in front of 1,000 people, and I just said, you know what? I'm going to run a group session. I'm going to run it on all the people that are in this group. And at the end, I got off the stage and people started coming. I had a migraine, I had a tummy ache. I was so anxious. I was feeling all this grief, and it all went away. And I'm like, that's interesting. And then I was at the Omega Institute in New York, and I was giving a presentation there. And maybe there was like 60 people there. And I did the same thing there. And I was just self-muscle testing. And this woman at the end said, wow, how did you do that? That was amazing. Have you ever thought about doing this on a regular basis where you muscle test for the group or you do it on yourself? I'm like, well, not till now, but now I'm going to do it. And ever since then, I've been doing group sessions with people all over the world. I've been doing it weekly for at least 20 years. And I discovered that as long as I'm just present and I'm not attached to an outcome, I'm not here to fix anyone. No one's broken. No one's broken. We all are healing and we all have a story. I raised my hand. I raised both hands. We all have a story and we're all healing. Yet when I'm present and I just am looking for, does the muscle lock out or does it give way? That's all I'm looking for. I don't really care what it does. This is a flow chart that has certain steps, but it can go any which way. So as much as I've done over 100,000 sessions, no two have ever been the same because it will guide us. So whether I'm working with somebody in Mauritius or I'm working with somebody in Queenstown, South Island, New Zealand, or if I'm working with somebody in Bend, Oregon, or whatever, it doesn't matter where, down the street from here, or my son in his room over there, as long as I'm just present, I can muscle test anything, anyone.
You realized you are the proxy. I love it.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. A couple more questions and then we'll start to wrap this up. I was fascinated by the person. We hear that when people get their cancer metastasized and their bones are pretty much over. Yeah. You had a woman who had that. She no longer has it. You said she thrived now as a result of it. In your mind, how does that work? That something that far gone, and you do this releasing work, or whatever you want to call it, the integration work. How just unpack that a little bit, because it almost seems unbelievable. I mean, I believe it, but I want the people listening to believe it as well.
Well, I also want to begin this by saying, once again, take no credit, take no blame. The power that creates us is the power that heals us. I live by that. I live by that. And so if we look at, here's the conscious mind, the choosing mind, and here's the subconscious mind. When they're in harmony in the present moment, then we can manifest in the most extraordinary way. When they're not, and they're not in harmony, and they're separate from one another, the subconscious mind will always, not sometimes, not most of the time, always override the conscious. So let's say the subconscious mind is now being driven by a 4-year-old memory, for example. This is 2-dimensional because it's multidimensional. There's multiple layers that we all have. But let's say there's a 4-year-old memory that is being held in the subconscious mind. That is going to affect the function of the body. The body is going to react in its immune system, in all of its system, in its organs, in its glands, in its ability to adapt in any given moment. It's going to react as if I'm still a 4-year-old little boy. So when I harmonize that 4-year-old little boy, it frees up what was already just needing to focus on that particular energy that was affecting, let's say, the earth element, which affects the stomach and the spleen and the pancreas, which control a lot of different things within the body. Now, the stomach, spleen, and pancreas, its energy, its life force can flow. Blood is flowing to all the over and underused cells of the body. The body just starts to adapt versus maladapt from the 4-year-old once they harmonize with one another. And you do that consistently. The body, just like the body detoxifies, the mind detoxifies. So The mind thinks on any given day 20 to 80,000 thoughts a day. Most of those thoughts, 80%, it's been estimated, are negative.
Right.
80% of the thoughts are negative. And what ends up happening is at the beginning of a Lifeline session, we start to harmonize these negative producing thoughts. It's like the battery starts with the anode and then it goes to the cathode. It starts with the negative, then it goes to the positive. So we start to harmonize that, and the mind starts to detoxify the anxiety and the fear and the frustration and the doubt and the regret and the shame and the guilt and the rage and whatever it might be. We start to harmonize it. And once it goes through that detoxification phase, the next phase of the mind is the mind, just like the body is designed to heal, regenerate, and be whole. The mind is designed to heal, regenerate, and be whole. There is no body without a mind. There's no body without a mind. The mind drives the body. So now the mind has detoxified, the body starts to detoxify. The mind starts to regenerate, the body starts to regenerate. So once it regenerates past a certain level of crescendo, like for a disease to be in the body functionally must be broken down 40+%. So people can have symptoms and it's not 40+%. Well, you got diarrhea and headaches and anxiety and poor sleep and all these different things, but you don't show outside the normal reference range. So take this pill for that symptom, take your pill for that, so take this pill for that pill. And we loop in these ways. But when we detoxify the mind and the mind starts to regenerate, the body starts to detoxify, the body starts to regenerate. Then the third phase is, and it's a practice, the mind starts to go into a thriving place. And now I'm seeking gratitude. Now I'm seeking connection. I'm seeking love. The universe is saying, I'm going to show you how good it can get. The universe starts to show up in these beautiful, synchronistic, serendipitous ways that are just like, we would be like, I can't believe I'm in this moment right now. Right? It's like, it's so beautiful. It's so precious. But there's a process. So it's not about the name of the disease. And once again, with this particular person, anytime somebody comes with me, and I've worked with multiple people with stage 4 cancer, and I always tell them, I'm like, well, I'm grateful that you're here. Let's get your dream team together. Let's get your dream team together. Who do you need on your dream team? Whether it be an oncologist, whether it be an endocrinologist, whether it be a nutritionist, whether it be an acupuncturist, here's what I'm going to be on your dream team. I'm going to be your subconscious specialist. And we are going to harmonize, because everyone else is working on the 2 to 10%. We're working on the 90 to 98%. And everything works better if your subconscious mind is harmonized with your conscious mind. So that's the nature of that. There is no body, there is no behavior without a mind preceding that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's so good, because I often say we have grown up in America in what I call a psychologically ignorant culture. And so most people don't know about this, and they don't understand that mind-body connection. And I love what you're doing. We're running out of time, and I want to ask you 2 quick questions. Number one, I know you're offering a certification in the Lifeline Technique.
Yeah.
So take a moment and talk about who that program is designed for and what people could get and expect to get if they were to become certified.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah. The Lifeline certification program is for anyone that it's for anyone that works with other people, whether you're a coach, whether it be a therapist, whether you're a chiropractor, whether you're an acupuncturist, somebody that is a holistic enthusiast and you geek out about the subconscious mind like you and I, you'll love this process. So in it, there are multiple different programs that allow somebody to become a certified Lifeline practitioner, a CLP. And the first aspect of it is going to be coming up. It's amazing. It's called Conscious Evolution. And it teaches you the 16 steps through 16 e-learning modules that we a couple times a year will come on and do live webinars to guide them. Interactive, there's coaching along the way. You'll be working with other people that are equally passionate about it. There's another course within the certification called Personal, Professional, Family Life Mastery. I We're not looking just to have people become certified Lifeline practitioners. We want people to become the best they can be in all aspects of their life. So you go through a process of visioning and aligning and harmonizing, and then you get your subconscious mind on board with your greatest vision of your personal, professional, and family life. It's phenomenal. It's such a great course. There's what's called an Ignite course that's within the certification, which is I teach people a 15, 20-minute practice on how to process black holes that live in our subconscious mind. Within it, there's a 90 days to building your Lifeline business, because we want you to be successful and help a lot of people make a ton of money in doing it as well. And then anyone that really wants this level of credential, you can be on our website. You'll be featured on our website. You can go through what we call the celebration of learning. And the celebration of learning is what other people call tests or quizzes. But when you learn the Lifeline, you're really celebrating something that you learn that will change your life forever. No one can take this away from you. You will live and you'll take your last breath with infinite love and gratitude once you really learn this, which is really amazing. So there's a written, there's a verbal. We've trained people in countries all over the world. It's really been amazing. And now people can do it with ease, and they can do it from our online program. That's really phenomenal. That's the essence of what it is. And what's really cool is we have an opportunity where right now we're giving it where we have buy one, get one. And so usually the nature of the program itself is like $5,000. And to me, it's a very fair price for what we're offering. And people that are interested get a buddy and split the price. And so it's like $2,500 for the certification, which is really an amazing.
Well, I'm envisioning people that work in hospice seeing someone on their deathbed with their hand like this going, infinite love and gratitude.
Jack, I've trained so many people that are trained in hospice, and they've helped so many people die with infinite love and gratitude.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's an amazing vision. It's true.
So lastly, if people want to find out more about you, your work, your book, The Power of Infinite Love and Gratitude, your online courses and workshops, your coaching program, your documentaries, and your certification program, where should they go?
You just go right to the lifelineCenter.com, the Lifeline Center, CENTER.com. And, what's really cool too is you can, people want to experience a group session. You can get 2 weeks for free. Just go to our website, fill in your name. You can be a part of a 2-week, free experience of a group Lifeline. You'll love that. It's amazing. And it'll really make a huge impact in your life. And then if it's something that resonates with you and you're like, wow, I want something else in my toolbox that really allows me to go deep, check out the Lifeline certification. That will be a game changer for you.
That's
confident
great.
Of it.
That's great. Well, we'll put all that in the show notes so people can access all of that. I have to say, I wish this were 2 hours instead of what we just spent together. I just love hanging out with you. And thanks for joining me today, Darren. Really appreciate it.
Jack, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. Infinite love and gratitude.
Infinite love and gratitude. And thanks to all of you who've joined us today. And if you found this conversation valuable, please let your friends and family know about the Jack Canfield Podcast, and especially this episode, one of the more interesting conversations we've ever had. And make sure to tune in next time, where I'll once again be talking with another transformational leader about how to be more conscious, more successful, experience more love, joy, happiness, health, success, true fulfillment, and infinite love and gratitude. Until then, take good care of yourself.